Thank you. So I wanted to invite us just for this moment to ground ourselves right on this few square feet of earth that we are seated on, and to just take a pause to feel our bodies, to connect with the breath, to connect with the heart that Scylla spoke so beautifully about. To really feel this earth has so much to teach us, to support us in, and to really feel, to know that we are also the earth. We are none other than the earth. Just feel the weight of your body and feel the way the weight of the earth is pushing back against your body and giving you support, maybe even strength, maybe even courage and faith. So we'll do a fuller practice in a few moments. So I'll just share a bit now. This is a place we can really learn to come to. You know, what Scylla was just speaking about ending up in her garden after a long walk in nature. The earth has seen so much in its 4.2 billion years of history. And it has persevered, and it has this vast, boundless, perhaps, capacity to transform and to take in what's coming to it. And when we connect with the earth, we tap into that stability and perseverance in us. And so we talk about in the tradition I come from of Thích Nhất Hạnh and Plum Village, you know, when we plant a tree, we say, I entrust myself to the earth, and the earth entrusts herself to me. So that can really be a part of our practice of cultivating courage, of cultivating faith, is seeing how we are deeply connected to this planet on a daily basis. Another practice that is so important in order to do this kind of grounding in the earth, grounding in our hearts, is the importance of clearing our minds, our hearts, and our bodies. We could talk about this as just staying clear. I'm just off of a month-long silent retreat, and it was so instructive for me to see in my attempts to quiet my mind, how much noise was there and how much that was coming from the things I had consumed prior, you know, in my daily life, whether it was films or shows or music or all of those things can be wonderful inputs into our system, but they can also be things we turn to as an escape when things get overwhelming. And so I really touched on this time of kind of purifying my mind and heart of all of this, that I wanted to pay closer attention in daily life to why I was turning to certain things, right? What was motivating me? It's important to be informed, especially in this time of such rapid change, and to stay connected to those we love. You know, isolation, alienation are real illnesses of our time, really a pandemic, right? But it's also important to realize when this activity of staying informed, staying connected becomes compulsive, when it actually begins to cut us off from our own intrinsic wisdom, our own clarity, because we can really overdo it. Anybody out there identify with that? Overdoing it with consumption of media? Okay, yes, some hands going up. So, and much of our media and items of cultural consumption, they are designed to entice us to overconsume and to get addicted, right? To always need to be looking at our phone or some screen. And this way of consuming, it moves our locus of power externally rather than internally. So it actually undermines our faith in ourselves and our own wisdom and this internal GPS, this intuitive power that Scylla also spoke to. So when we can clear out our mind and heart and body, we can reconnect with our truth, our inherent goodness, and we can find more easily others that are also going in this direction of getting clearer, of seeing the reality of our world, of ourselves, more clearly. This is really the direction of awakening. So this cutting off, right, that's necessary in order to clear ourselves so that we can see and act with that kind of wisdom. So we have to actually cut off some of the things that we take in. And that takes courage, that kind of letting go. But it also nurtures courage. It gives us strength to face this polycrisis that is here and the greater unraveling that is coming. So I want to speak now to a way we can tap into this wisdom we have inside of us that's not only individual but also collective. And then I'll offer a practice, a meditative practice for us to experience this. So I spent many years, as you heard, with Thích Nhất Hạnh, a Zen master from Vietnam, who really did a lot to bring engaged Buddhism to the world and taught a lot in the West. Many people would ask him what to do when facing big life decisions, like what career path to take, or whether to stay with a partner or leave, or maybe whether to ordain as a monastic. And he would often say, don't try to figure this out by thinking about it. Because when we think about something, right, this is, again, what Scylla was speaking about with our left and right brain. If we think about it with our intellect, we don't usually arrive at real wisdom. We tire ourselves out and we get more confused, more anxious. So these deeper life questions that really matter, they can't be resolved at the level of our thinking mind. They have to be entrusted to a deeper, different part of our consciousness. So instead, Thich Nhat Hanh would suggest that we consider this big question, this big issue, this dilemma as a kind of seed, and we plant it in the soil of our mind, and we have to let it rest there. So this is a practice of both faith and courage. Faith in the capacity of this other part of our consciousness to nurture this seed, and courage to let go of it, to not have to have an answer immediately. So what nurtures that seed once we let it rest in the soil of our mind? Presence. Being present in our daily life, knowing what we're doing as we're doing it. That is the sunshine, that's the water that that seed needs in order to sprout. And it will come up in its own time, and we will then know, we will have the clarity without a doubt. But the practice, what's difficult about it is we have to leave it down there and not keep digging it up to see if its roots are growing, because it won't grow in that way. We know that. So it's the same with a deep and troubling question, including what's going to happen to us, our human society, our planet in this time of polycrisis. How do we trust that we have this wisdom, right, that only humans have, versus machines, right, that can mature the wisdom, the insight that we need in this time? It will not come through worrying and thinking. Analysis paralysis was a term I just was listening to someone speak about last night. Right? So in our daily lives, we practice calming, resting, coming home to ourselves in the present moment, knowing that that deep question is there, that deep concern, and then it ripens authentically, naturally, and it cannot be rushed, it can't be forced. So this is a very powerful part of our consciousness. In Buddhist psychology, it's called store consciousness. And it's called that because it has the function of storing all of the impressions, all of the memories, all of the things we've experienced, both individually and collectively. And all the mind states that we can experience, they're sleeping in this part of our consciousness in a latent form. We probably all had the experience of trying to figure something out, a problem, finding an answer to something perplexing. We think hard, we circle round and round, and we don't feel we get anywhere. And then we let the question go. Something happens, we get interrupted, whatever. And then when we least expect it, quite suddenly, inspiration or helpful ideas come to us in some moment of rest, in some moment of discontinuity from that working to figure that out. And we just know what to do. So that experience of some insight arising quite unrelated to the act of trying to figure something out, that's store consciousness operating. It does that. It works on something while our minds are doing other things. And it provides answers when they're ready, direction. So what's helpful to know is that this store consciousness, it works much more efficiently than mind consciousness, this everyday mind consciousness that's thinking. We could also think about it as, intellectual knowledge, intuitive wisdom. Intuitive wisdom, it's just easeful, it's natural, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. So when this kind of wisdom arises from store consciousness, it feels right? We know it kind of in our bones, and then we no longer have any doubts. So we also need to learn to rely on, trust, and have faith in our collective consciousness in this same way. But to have that, we also need to nurture it, right? Which means all the things Scylla said about being a mindful, healthy collective, like living with ethical, compassionate, caring values. That's what nourishes the collective consciousness and provides for this possibility of a collective awakening, a collective shift. everything we need to move through this time, we have it. We have it. It may be buried under many layers of trauma, of wounding, of stress, of confusion, of violence, but we have it. It is there. I'm just going to pause because we lost the video, so I just want to make sure you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Okay, because I can't see you anymore, but that's okay. Okay, so so there are answers, there is guidance, there is wisdom that is wanting to come through our individual and our collective awareness, and we really need to listen to this guidance, this wisdom, but it can only happen when we find the time and the space to slow down, to clear ourselves out so that we can hear it, so that we can really learn to listen. So this is part of this trusting, this having faith in this capacity of this process. So the way we can access this is by returning to this moment, anchoring ourselves in our body, finding this home inside of ourselves. And we know it is very distressing when we don't know what the future holds, when we don't feel that there is this stability. Everything is changing so quickly. So many processes are influencing each other in ways we can't even begin to imagine the impacts of. But in his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, Alan Watts points out that when we are clear and sure about where we are going, when we have all the answers, we're actually less open to the huge range of possibilities that's available. But when we let ourselves be in this space of not knowing, there is enormous potential, and life can unfold in innumerable ways. So rather than avoid and fear uncertainty, we can learn to turn towards it, to embrace it, to lean into that not knowing and all of its potential, its many gifts. So when we slow down, when we clear out, we can rest back into uncertainty rather than fighting it. And that helps us touch into this sense of space, precisely in moments when we feel that there's no way to keep going and we'll be totally overwhelmed. We can learn to do this. We can learn to connect with that kindness, that softness, rather than stiffening up against what we don't know. So we can breathe in, we can breathe out, we can feel our bodies, note the sensations in the body, and create that sense of space to be with what's so hard to be with. It's a human, it's a feature of being human that we don't like uncertainty. It's threatening to us, but we can train ourselves to stay with that, to slow down and let our nervous system recalibrate and center itself. The external situation may not change, but we have changed in our relation to the external situation through this practice. So then we can be in touch with something deeper than the overwhelm. The overwhelm is true, but there's other things that are also true, that are also there right in that moment of overwhelm. And this practice of pausing, of stopping, is what allows this seed to mature, to ripen, to give us guidance. So we are dissolving as a culture, as a society, like this caterpillar in a chrysalis. we are collectively, getting into this state of soup, which is no longer this, but not yet that. So we're in the cocoon. We don't know what the next phase will be like. And learning to surrender to this unknown in our own lives, in our wider social reality, it's essential to moving through this time of faster and faster change, disruption, and breakdown. So if we still have time, I would love to offer us a practice. Is that still all right? Yes? Okay. Okay, so you can, find a comfortable position, one that communicates to your body that you don't have to think about anything in this time. Can let go of that part of yourself. You can have your eyes open, closed, whatever feels good. Maybe just choosing a point to softly gaze at on the ground in front of you if your eyes are open. So connect with your body, how it's making contact with the chair, with the floor. Allow yourself to rest back in some way, to really feel the support of what's holding you. So each time you breathe out, let your body rest even more onto the support of the earth. Allow the face to soften. Release the muscles in the forehead, muscles around the eyes, the jaw, the tongue. Let it rest in the mouth. Notice the shoulders, and as you exhale, let your shoulders maybe soften a little bit. Let your awareness settle on your chest, belly, and allow them to let go on the next exhale. Let your limbs grow a little heavier, releasing tension, softening. Feel your whole body as you breathe, allowing the whole body to soften and release its weight even more onto the earth. Now, bring to mind some question, some challenge, some issue you may have on your heart right now, something you're struggling with. Maybe it's the collective struggle that we're all facing, or maybe it's something personal. Notice how you feel about this and the pull that may be there to resolve it, to think about it, to get out of the uncertainty about it. Without trying to figure out an answer or a solution, see this question or challenge as a seed that you can entrust to the soil of your mind or the soil of the collective, down in the depths of consciousness. Plant it there, just allowing it to lie there peacefully, quietly. And let yourself rest back into the unknown. You could even invite your body to slightly lean back a tiny bit. Let yourself reconnect with the feeling of being held by the earth. You can rest on the earth just as this question can rest in the depths of your being. While it may be scary not to know, there is also infinite possibility here. Let your body take some deep breaths as it settles. Giving this seed the permission to take the time that it needs to arrive at an answer or some insight, some way forward. Having faith, having courage in your own intrinsic wisdom to show you the way when the time is right. And we'll close this practice with a way of infusing in our consciousness through words. If this is helpful to you, you might breathe in and say, "Wisdom is in me," and breathe out, "I have confidence." Saying that silently to yourself, "Wisdom is in me. I have confidence. I have faith." And you can substitute wisdom for any other word that might be more helpful for you. Love is in me. I have confidence. Courage. Compassion is in me. I have confidence. So thank you so much for your practice, and may we all grow in faith and courage and confidence in our capacity to meet this moment, to meet this time.
Huge thank you to Kaira.